Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We have Rojda and Margarita here to tell us something hopeful about a struggle and something that's going to happen in the future, something that's been going on for quite some time. But it's to inform us to be able to support in solidarity the Kurdish women's liberation struggle. Okay, I'm Letitia Layson, your moderator. If you're here, thank you so much for coming to this very special event. Jiyan, Azadi, Women, Life, Freedom, Kurdish Women's Liberation Struggle, with Rojda, Yildiz, and Margarita Rosa Tirado, Mejia, presented by Genevieve Vaughan and the International Feminists for the Gift Economy. Oftentimes, Jen likes to bring to our community really important issues as a longtime activist supporting change in the world. For us here in the Maternal Gift Economy Network, we see this as the foundation for how we can actually shift the paradigm to this new, peaceful, more loving, compassionate world. All right, so let's begin without further ado, because Rojda has some very important information to share with us. And Jen is going to share a little bit of her passion and heart and hope about why we're here. So let me just say a few words about Rojda. She's 32 years old, from Kurdistan, graduated from the Istanbul University with a degree in English economics. She received a master's degree in sociology from Istanbul Belgi University. She's an activist in the Kurdish women's movement for over 10 years. She's the editor of a magazine that focuses on this struggle and on this women's movement, and she continues her work in Kurdistan in the field of women's liberation. So we want to welcome her with our open hearts. Margarita has been part of our community since we started these salons, and so you know her from, if you can remember, that beautiful video that she did where she filmed herself on her land. She lives on a wilderness sanctuary. She's a longtime activist, an artist herself, and does work with the environmental movements, art, medicine, and social activism. So she lives in Colombia, and we are very happy to have her with us. And of course, Genevieve Vaughan. So we wouldn't be here without Genevieve, because she is the one who inspired us to actually gather together so that we can be informed to make the drastic changes that are necessary today. So Jen, if I can just turn the mic over to you, and then you can get us going here.
All right. Thank you so much, Letitia. That was a very wonderful introduction. I have been blessed to be able to live in Europe for a lot of time, and to be in contact with the Kurdish women's movement there, and be totally in admiration of what they've done in Kurdistan and Syria, of having a woman-led society, egalitarian society. And it's just a wonderful example for the women in the U.S. and all in the global North in general of a feminist society in practice. And unfortunately, now, as before, but now more than ever, they have been attacked by the Syrian army, and it has been, they're having to become assimilated there into the Syrian ways. And this is largely due to Trump's change in policy, because before they were supported by the U.S. and now that they have changed to the Syrian government, Trump has pulled out and is no longer supporting the Kurdish women and the Kurdish society. So that is a huge disappointment for me personally, but it's also, sort of a symptom, because today, this very morning, the U.S. and Israel have attacked Iran. So we are warmongers. The U.S. is warmongers, and it is creating a great destabilization in the whole world order. So we're in wanting to make peace and have peace be the guiding principle. I want to, at the end of our salon today, I want to do an Om for peace. We started out our salons doing Oms during COVID, and now at the end of this salon, we want to do an Om for peace. So thank you, Rojda, for coming, and I'll turn it over to you, and we want to hear everything you have to say.
Thank you very much. And I'm very excited, sorry. It's very good event, and I don't know, whenever I tell about my struggle, I always get very excited because it's full of spirit for all of us. But firstly, I want to say thank you to Maternal Gift Economy Group, especially to Genevieve Vaughan. Thank you very much. And thank you all women now with us. And if you are ready, we can start. Actually, today I will tell very, very long story, because this story has started about 1980, but it's still going on. And we did a lot of things, we succeeded a lot of things, but now I try to summarize all story. And now, as Genevieve and Leticia said, I am an activist in Kurdish movement, and also I am an editor of Genealogy magazine. I will try to tell firstly our struggle story, and then what is genealogy and what we want as Kurdish women. Now this is our slogan: the world must be touched by the spirit of woman. As genealogy, these sentences is very important to us, and also not just we. Now you see a woman who is Nagihan Akarsel. She was a member of Genealogy Academy, and she was really great academician. But unfortunately, she killed in Iraq before 3 years. But still, I wanted to start with Nagihan. And I know she's watching us now. Maybe some of our friends don't know something about who are the Kurds, because even if some people know who is Kurds, but especially in the USA and in Europe, they just see us when press mentioned about conflicts. But our story was very, very long. And Kurds are people who have lived in Mesopotamia for 1,000 years. But after the World War I, the lands where Kurds lived were divided among 4 nation states: Turkey, Iraq, Iran, and Syria. All 4 nation states attempted to assimilate the Kurds, banning their language and culture. Unfortunately, in this process, Kurds who rebelled were killed, exiled, and arrested. And I just want to show a little map for Kurdistan. As you see, Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran, these lands are divided by this four nation state. Now, officially, these lands, people know officially Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran, but part of these nation states are actually historically Kurdistan. Now, what happened in our story after this assimilation process? The war between the PKK and Turkey has started ongoing for 50 years. Sorry, but unfortunately, also thousands of soldiers and guerrillas has lost their lives. But, however, a peace process began last year, and it's still very important to us. But also we remember, despite the peace process, thousands of political prisoners remain in Turkey prison, and thousands of politicians are in exile abroad still. Now I will start the Kurdish women, and in the beginning I want to say something about our peace mothers. These mothers are mothers of guerrillas. So they called themselves peace mother, and about 20 years they struggle against conflict, against war, because they say we want our son, we want our daughter, but we want this peace with honor. So please give our status as Kurdish people. And they try to have contact with Turkish soldier mothers. Mostly they didn't give an answer, unfortunately, but they are still struggle themselves. I want to say these are 8 March protest. I want to show just these are our traditional dress, and these are our traditional colors, red, yellow, and green. Mostly women wear like that when they go to the protest with their traditional dresses. And this is at the same similar photos, but this is important because about 20 years in our protest, Kurdish women walk in front of the men. Of course, after the big struggle, women struggle, now men learn they have to follow the women. Not totally, but it's still going on. And another other Kurdish women. Now I also want to say something about Abdullah Öcalan. Abdullah Öcalan, the leader of the Kurdish people, leader of the PKK, has been held as a prisoner on a Turkish island for 28 years. Unfortunately, he is still in here, even if we have a peace process, but the conditions haven't changed yet. And there was a great isolation. No one could see him with his defenses in court. He left a great legacy to Kurdish people, especially women. What is this legacy? Now, I will try to tell our ideology or paradigm. Sorry. Yes. As I said, Öcalan, who finds the nation state patriarchal and capitalist as Kurdish society leader. And he said, we don't want a state for the Kurds. He process of democratic nation where all identities, cultures, and beliefs can coexist. That is why he proposed a new paradigm for the Middle East. I want to say something about this topic. Before this paradigm, before this ideology, until the 2000s, Kurdish people wanted a nation state, a Kurdistan land, and as we know what is nation state, they want this. But after the 2000s, the paradigm has changed, and Öcalan said the nation state is very patriarchal and capitalist. Even if we have a nation state, it will not bring to us our freedom. And then he defines the most fundamental phenomenon of this new paradigm as women's freedom. He says there can be no social freedom without women's freedom. And in every discussion, he emphasizes the importance of freedom. He criticizes both capitalism and patriarchy, arguing that a libertarian society must distance itself from these two ideologies. When he started to build his ideology, he started with goddesses, and it was very, very new idea for all Kurdish women because we didn't have any idea, any mentality about goddesses. So our meaning of goddesses changed after this paradigm, and now for us it is very important. Sorry. Why it is important for us? Because Öcalan doesn't want to discuss women's freedom as a modern ideology. He says the matrilineal values should be revived and implemented in Mesopotamia. Influenced by his book, Kurdish women began to research Mesopotamian goddesses and their values, and women began her story with the goddesses. It was not easy because we didn't have so much search, so much books, so much articles about this topic. So in the beginning, we start with our mothers and we listen to their stories and antique rituals in daily life. And we saw that he was right. The patriarchal system had tried to destroy women's culture, but we also saw the goddesses continued to live within us. Some photos, again, Kurdish women's movement, as you see, this is another protest. And now Kurdish women actually has two problems. Yes, one of is patriarchy, but another one, unfortunately, still we don't have society rights, like mother language rights. Even if you are a Kurdish man or woman, you have to speak Turkey. In Turkey, you have to speak Turkish, especially in the education system. So even if a child learned her mother language, when she goes to the school, she starts to learn Turkish, and by the way, they unfortunately again starts to forget their mother language, and it's a big problem, especially women, because they don't know generally Turkish still. And when they go to the school, when they go to the hospital, police station, and other official associations, official societies, areas, they cannot take some service, public service, because they cannot, they don't tell their problems, what's happening, especially when they go to the hospital. Even if they are sick, they cannot totally their sickness to doctor. And because of that, these protests are generally have two demands. The one is against patriarchy, the one is against nation-state politics. These are another photo. And now, after this process, what is the Kurdish women's movement? Kurdish women have been fighting against mass state violence for 40 years, both in the mountains and the cities. Maybe most people around the world, people know Kurdish women just guerrillas, women guerrillas. Yes, the struggle has started on the mountains, but now in the social life, the public life, political life, municipalities, organization. Now Kurdish women is everywhere because and thanks to this struggle. And the Kurdish women's movement have been fighting against patriarchy for 40 years. They are fighting for both identity and women's freedom. There is a major movement going on right now, especially in northern Kurdistan, Turkey part, and western Kurdistan, Syria, Rojava. Women are present in every aspect of life, in the press, in the cultural activities, in political activities, in unions, and in municipalities. A co-chair system is in place in political parties, blah, blah, blah. What is the meaning of the co-chair system? For example, political party, we don't have just one president. We everywhere in the unions, in the municipalities, in the political parties, a woman and a man, they govern together. And it is a big rule for all of us. You cannot see a man or you cannot see a woman only have study because Middle East very patriarchal area, especially because of the religion, Islamic religion. And before this movement, before Kurdish women's movement, you couldn't see women mayor, women parliamentary, or women union activist. And it was not easy because firstly, our society had to support us. And after the very big education system, very big workshop systems, now I can say they have accepted this system, but not totally. Still, we have a struggle with our Kurdish men comrades and with this patriarchal society. And just I want to show some photos from our struggle. This is Kurdish women journalists, and they have association. And traditional women's culture activists, this is also very important for us because this four nation state, Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey, banned our traditional everything, or musics, or dances. But now Kurdish women say that tradition means is woman, so we will relive this Kurdish tradition again, and they organize some festivals, they organize some carnival, and with their traditional. These are just the women's issue. There is no mixed traditional activism in the Kurdistan. Just women do that. And they are Kurdish women MPs. So Kurdish people's political party is DEM party now. And I think we have 60 MP in Turkish parliament, but half of these numbers is full of women. And again, Kurdish women co-mayors and peace mothers. This photo is also very important because 10 years ago, Turkish state bombed on Kurdish mountains, and about 40 guerrillas died because of nuclear gas. And people, peace mothers, was on the streets against this politica. They said this is war crime, and we will not accept that. And it was very dark days, and I wanted to show this. Now, what is genealogy? Of course, we have a lot of practice for equality and for freedom. But we do that with our paradigm and ideology. And this ideology is genealogy for Kurdish women. Not just genealogy, it's a theoretic discussion. And we just don't offer this discussion just to Kurdish women. We offer this to all women around the world. And what is genealogy? Kurdish women carry out all their practical work with genealogy theory. Genealogy criticizes positivism. It rejects positivism that ignores spirit, emotion, and feeling. It says that the fundamental element of society is woman and the culture created by women. It rejects all forms of violence and struggles to organize a non-violent mentality. Genealogy believes in the sanctity of maternal values and argues that a meaningful life can be established with this sanctity. Genealogy conducts theoretical discussion of the democratic, ecological, and women's liberation paradigm. And positivism has dealt a heavy blow to humanity and the world. Technology, industrialism, capitalism, they all claim this is the only and right way. But we have a past. Genealogy is the art of reinterpreting the world through women's eyes, by feeling, by touching. To reinterpret the past and build a free future, we must see with different eyes and interpret the world with different ideas. Because of that, we always discuss with Kurdish women, not just Kurdish women, around the women, all the world. And we have a magazine for these discussions. And this magazine to share discussions about genealogy with women worldwide. Any woman can write for this magazine. We also listen to the talks and experiences of our mothers, write them down, and publish them in the magazine. The magazine has been published for 11 years. And this is just from our magazines, the ethic aesthetic, self-defense, and criticism of social science. Of course, not just writing, the discussion is very important to us, but not a classical discussion like school, like state school. We organize workshops everywhere. Here we come together with women and share our story, culture, feelings, and thoughts. Women of all ages, identities, and beliefs participate in these workshops. We are discussing what we can do against patriarchy and presenting our demands to political institutions. Together, we are building free states. And some photos from workshops, of course, it is one of Ecology Association, and young women come together here and discuss about ecology issues. Not just in the cities, we also organize some workshops in the town. And as you see, women, some workshops again. This is again is from a village. This was very special for us because we went to mountains with our mothers and they told us about flowers. And they told us which flower help us when we get sick and for which sick. And then after that, we took notes, all ideas, all informations, and now we try to collect all this information from our mothers, and we will publish these books. Again, and the panel seminars. And what is the Mesopotamian goddesses? All of our workshops begin with the whole story of the goddesses, understanding the goddesses, honoring them, and discussing the lives they built are great inspiration for us. And some important goddesses in Mesopotamia, Ninhursag, Inanna, Ishtar, Nashester, and you see now Inanna on the screen. And the Shahmeran, another historical symbol for women. This is just a garden, and the Kurdish women believe that if you have this Shahmeran in your home, it gives you goddess, happiness, peaceful life, and healthy. And now the big question, what's happening, Rojava? What happened, Rojava, in these 10 years? Am I speaking very fastly?
That's fine.
Okay. And now, as I said in the beginning, Kurdish people divided from some countries, and one of them is Syria. Kurds living in Syria have been a colony of the Syrian state for, unfortunately, 10 years. And their position was very bad because they, even if they lived in Syria, they didn't get identity card as a citizens. So they just lived here, okay? You don't know who are they, what are they doing. And then I think because of that, their anger was very big. But in 1950, the Islamic State attacked Syria and the Kurds defended their lands. More than, unfortunately, again, 5,000 Kurdish youth died here, men and women together. Since 2016, the Kurds have had an autonomous government in northern Syria. After this presentation, I will try to explain today what's happening in Rojava. They have been living with the democratic nation paradigm since 2016, not only Kurds, but also Arabs, Assyrians, and Armenians live together. And maybe most of you hear this name, Women's Defense Units, YPG. They are Kurdish guerrilla in Syria, but they say we are not just a guerrilla, not just a fighter. We want our women's freedom, and we fight for all women around the world to stop the male violence. But what happened in Rojava after 2016? They tried to change their society, their system in Syria. Education is very important, still is very important for Rojava, provided in all native languages, not just Kurdish, also if you are Armenian or if you are Arab, you can use your language in the education system. Every culture and belief is guaranteed by the social contract. No one is subjected to violence because of their identity or belief, because we know what does it mean. The basic organization model in Rojava is common. Every village, every neighborhood has commons. What is it that? Because we also know that mean of nation state. You cannot decide your life. You cannot say something about your life, especially in the Middle East, if you live under the nation state. Now, because of that, in Rojava, and we try to build in Turkey too, common. In your neighbor, in your village, you can have common and you can build a common with other people and you can share everything. You can share your economy, your life, your home. And it was the very, very important point for all of them. And every village, of course, has an at least economic and social common. Everyone can join this common. They produce and live together. Especially they have, they do agriculture, economic practice because there was no so much industrial jobs, thanks to God. We don't have so much. And everyone can join this common. They produce and live together. They discuss their demands within the commons and submit them to higher administrative unit. The decisions belong to the commons. The upper instrumentation's role responsibility is to implement this decision. So, for example, if I need a park, a woman and children park, I can decide about these things. I just have to say to upper common, and you just want money or what you want from them, and then you can build what you need in your town. It can be a park, it can be an economical cooperative issue. Just it depends on you. And And another important point, local production and ecological agriculture are among the most fundamental goals against capitalism. They don't take from the other countries, and you just can't find local product in their lands. So it is very important for us. So capitalism cannot go to the Rojava area, for example, like Hamburg. No, what was it? Hamburger, yes, like this. Pizza, like that. As in every aspect, women's participation is very important here. It is not just women's participation. We view economic as a historically female endeavor, and we argue that home economics should be the primary economic activity in the economic life. And why it is women's revelation? Most of people know this revelation as Rojava women's revelation because there are two reasons for this. Rojava women fought against the Islamic State and thousands died for their land. Another reason is that today's Rojava revolution is a revolution in which women are organized in every field against patriarchy. Women manage the economy, participating in politics with equal representation, serving in the military, establishing institutions, everywhere to combat violence and fighting to change social mentality, not just against enemy or nation state, because we know our society is very, very patriarchal society. So especially, I can say most of our powers goes to our society and Kurdish men. Because still, even if some of them change, still they say, you are a woman, how can be mayor, how can be politician, how can you do economical issues, you cannot calculate something, as like every word in this word, okay. And to change social mentality, education system is very important also. So because of that, all sexist, militarist, and the religious ideas have been removed from school textbooks. And I love this photo. This is Jiyan. Kurdish woman has a woman village in the Syria. Just women live there. And as you see, they have an education here now. And I want to say that, do you see these photos? These photos, actually, you will see now, Inanna, goddess Inanna, but they transformed Inanna like a Kurdish woman from here. And what is the Jiyan? Jiyan is a women's village established in Rojava. Only women and children live here. Most of these women are victims of violence, but not anymore, we can say. This land has given to the women by the autonomous government. The houses were built entirely using ecological methods. The village practice ecological agriculture. They produce, and live together. There is a multilingual school for children where women learn genealogy. The women in the village take classes in women's history, economics, and ecology. They have theater and music groups. The village is defended by the women. This is the Jiyan. As I said, actually, this is Inanna, the Mesopotamian goddess, but Kurdish women transformed it like that. And Rojava University in Syria, Rojava area, Kurdish women and Kurdish society, of course, they have a university, and it is very important also to change the society. It is one of the region's leading universities. It offers programs in many fields, including medicine, law, engineering, and social science. They work to restructure all departments, based it not on positivist science, but on their connection to ecology, and life. The university is governed by a council, half of which is composed of women and half of them, of course, men. No sexist ideology is permitted in this university. The Faculty of Genealogy exists as a separate department lasting 4 years, and there is also a master program for genealogy. And we are coming to soon. As I said in the beginning, we just don't focus on Kurdish women or Middle East women in the world. We want to change all world with all women. And because of that, we offer a system, a women's system, and we called it Women's Confederalism. As genealogy, we believe, as genealogy and of course Kurdish women movement, we believe that the most important things is to build a new life, but to do so collectively in collaboration with society. And as women of this world, we are all part of the same common. That's why we propose a model to women worldwide, women's confederalism. This means we must all unite and wage a common struggle against patriarchy worldwide. We have the power to do this. 2 years ago, hundreds of women from different countries came together in Berlin, hosted by Kurdish women. And this year, Women's Confederalism was in Colombia, which Margarita was there. She will tell something about this event. And also, we know we have a long way to go, but our hope and faith are great. We will build a new world with the spirit of women. And maybe most of you know that we take this energy from our slogan, Jiyan, Azadi, women, life, freedom, and more vida libertad. And I want to show some photos from protest. This is, actually, I don't know her name. I just checked the internet. A Kurdish mother, she has a mask, and I think this is a protest. Maybe police didn't allow that, but she was carrying Jiyan Azadi. And this is from German. This is from India. This is from Kurdistan. This is from Iran, and I think this is from USA. All people came together around this slogan. It was very important for us. As you know, how did it became popular? In Iran, after the Jina Mahsa Amini killed by the Iran soldiers because she didn't cover her hair, the Iranian soldiers killed Jina Mahsa Amini, and after this massacre, it started from Iran, especially from the Kurdistan part in Iran, and people, women, say together, Jiyan Azadi, life, freedom, life, women, life, and freedom. We still believe these three contacts, and we say that it's kind of dialectic. You cannot think freedom without life. You cannot think life without women. So it's still very famous, and it's still very important to all us. Now, as I said, it is very, very long story. I cannot tell everything now here, but just I try to frame just a little short ideas. Now, as you see, Middle East change every day, unfortunately every day. Now, for a long time, I want to say something now what's happening, because you know, before 2 months, a lot of Kurdish women and men killed by Syrian regime again, and it was horrible trouble. But we should think Kurdistan, actually, even if they divide it for countries, it's one. What's happening in Turkey, it affects Syria. What's happening in Syria, it affects Iran. So, as I said, the peace process has started in Turkey last year, and it was still very, very important. It's still very important for us. And we wanted our status, our Kurdish people, not state, nation state. We said we want to talk with our mother language. We want to live with our traditional cultures, and we want our citizens' rights. Because now, even if the nation state, Turkey nation state, says you are taking your rights, but the reality is not that. And after this process, now still the dialogue process is going on between PKK and Turkey state. Before 3 months, the Syrian regime attacked Rojava area. In the beginning, actually, Trump, as Genevieve said, supported Kurdish militaries' powers in Rojava because they knew if ISIS, Islamic terrorist state, finished, thanks to Kurdish people who live in Syria, they died maybe 5,000, 6,000 people to finish the ISIS. And before this process has started, before the Trump, USA always said we will support Kurdish people, but we knew it. The USA doesn't like Kurdish people, or they don't want our status in Middle East. It was just a strategic politics, because they know in the Rojava we had a lot of ISIS prisoners in Rojava, but Kurdish people were controlling all prisoners in the Syria. But now, as you know, Ahmad Shara came to Syria last year, and Assad has gone. In the beginning, all nation states, in England, Germany, French, they say we don't accept Ahmad al-Shara in Syria because Ahmad al-Shara kind of ISIS. He was very Islamic, he was very sexist, and he was not modern. He was still thinking with Sharia Islamic rules. But situation has changed, and USA and Syria united. They unit, and they came together, and they attacked the Kurdish people in Rojava. And these 3 years, Kurdish people had very big protests around the world. Maybe you also saw them. And then they had to stop this attack. And then they again started dialogue, Syrian regime and Kurdish people. Now we have an agreement with Syrian regime. What is it? This is, we will use our mother language in Syria. We will defend ourselves, and YPG and YPG Kurdish forces will not going to home. They still will defend the Kurdish women, and other social civil rights. But still, we don't know. The Syrian regime will again attack the Rojava or not, because as you see today, USA and Israel attacked Iran. And in the Middle East, if you attack a country, this means not just it will be between one country or one country, or countries affected when a war starts. And now, as you see, Qatar, Saudi Arabistan, Syria, Iraq, Iran, they all closed their airlines because now Iranian attack to other countries, even if Arab countries, because says you support the America. What USA want now? They say we will not allow the nuclear bomb in Iran. But Iran say that we don't have nuclear bomb. But they have, as we know, they have. Now the big problem is that this is the fake reason for USA. USA want to change Iran regime in Iranian, and they want to put a governor that they can control, like Venezuela. Okay, they want to change the system, and they want to have control under the people. Now we don't know what will happen. Really, you can hear bomb voices, you can hear some noises, and we are watching, but we don't know what will happen after this process. We focus on our self-power. Still, we try to organize our people as economically, as so socially. We always try to tell the war is not a solution for all people. We can live together, we can govern together, and still we believe the most important point is it. But the Middle East in any time can change because of the international imperialism. I can say that still we work, still we, for example, now prepare for 8th March in Kurdistan, even if the war goes on. For example, tomorrow we will have a bazaar, women bazaar, for the 8th March. And like Maternal Get Economy, we will come together and change something for us. Even if the war goes on, the life is still, and life is with us. We believe that, and international politics doesn't care people's life, doesn't care people's language, people life, people status. They just care about money and another powerful issue. But against that, Kurdish women movement and Kurdish freedom movement still support humanity values and maternal values, and we will continue to support these values in the world. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Rojda.
You're welcome.
Yes. So are you complete for now? And we can go on to Margarita and have her give us some comments about her experience, just about, 5-10 minutes of what it was like to be at one of these events. And so Margarita, if you would please just unmute.
Hello, everybody. Hello. It is a ceremony to hear the story of this incredible movement through the words of Rojda, lighting the light all the time, to really put, as the Kurdish women said, the women in the center. to have the gratitude and at the same time the permission to unite your spirits and our spirits from the Abya Yala. I was virtually present the 5 days of the conference, and we can feel that the struggle of the silence of women had a voice in the voice of the Kurdistan women against the destruction of life, against the destruction of women as we are in all over the world, as you said, to be able to flourish from the Abya Yala to Kurdistan. The world must be touched by the mothers, by the women, by the spirit of agriculture that we have maintained together. We had many things in common as they have tried to steal the languages of the original populations. We had been hurt in the invisibility, and we felt the power of getting together, the women from the Abya Yala, with the Jiyan Azadi, women, life and freedom, mujeres, vida y libertad. We had been in the struggles for centuries, and what is happening in this moment in the world are the demonstration that as root people, we had been smashed by the patriarchal colonizer, imperials or capitalism, making the same thing, bombarding, invading, taking and killing, massacring with ethnocide, genocide, ecocides around the world. United States, as one of these present dominant war makers around the world, it is not new the ways in which these imperials try to make populations, simple populations, think that they work for democracy. But in the time that they invaded Palestine, or that they moved the threats for the bombs in Gaza, or with Israel together and the Zionism, and trying to patrocinate Kurd movement on top of the soul of women in the care of life. This conference from Abya Yala to Kurdistan shows us the mothers, the mamitas, as we call them in our Abya Yala, that we are together in common spirit through emotions, trying to heal the memories of erasing our populations as we, all women around the world, try to get against the violence and organize our struggles in non-violent mentality, non-violent movement, as the Kurdish women spoke in the Confederation of International Democratic Confederalism. This was a very intense meeting, and to be able to mourn the death of one of the sons of one of the women from the Abya Yala that was killed in the moment of the conference demonstrates the global violence, and at the same time all the difficulties of accessing the possibility of showing what many communities in the Abya Yala are living. We have almost the same historical threats against women, against the original population, against the communities. We had been submitted to the extractivism, not only on our land, on our countries, on our bodies, but through the academic extractivism controlling the forces of life. These groups that came together had manifests that we, of course, miss many of the presence of many other original populations. But we have common problems like the mining, the big hydroelectric, the monocultures, the displacement, the stealing of our cultures and our languages. And one of the conclusions is we have to turn up down the map. Put the South and put the original populations in the light and the farm of what we have been able to resist in the resistance of the towns, and expose that capitalism had, as the imperialism, as the extractivism, as the colonialism, and the threads that move the power of the multimillionaires to control the freedom of our own cultures. I believe in the trying to make the resume of this immense meeting. Patriarchy had tried to erase women and use us as consumers, as objects, erasing diversities, colors, thoughts, the different culture expressions of our way of living, our own lands, our own food, agriculture, as Rojda expressed through the Kurdish process, is something that we will not give over. They try to take out our seeds, but we survive. We survive protecting our forests, protecting our land, protecting our bodies, and trying to be protected of the patriarchy in the indigenous communities and the thoughts of that have expanded in education, in the health systems, in every thread of control that they try to be. Many of the Abya Yalan women said, we embrace all the struggle of Kurdish women, the struggle of Palestinian women, the struggle of the Sudan women, the Nigerian, the struggles around the world of the original people. This is a very essential time on the world. When United States demonstrate through the Epstein files, all the corruption of the big governments, all the corruption of Zionism, all the corruptions of possessing the bodies of little girls, of babies, violating the most beautiful young women to maiden slave in the traffic of sexual traffic. This is a very old story. What the women of the genealogy creating these signs of women-centered concept is to be able to be back in our power, knowing that we cannot be submitted to the ways of colonizers, patriarchy, capitalism, markets, the corporations, and to try to defend the autonomy of our cultures, of our songs, of our dancings, and that United States cannot be on top of the wisdom that we still protect from within ourselves as women, to awaken the depth of our goddess's power, knowing that her story, the women of the story of women, her story, not history. The women tell through our own wisdom that emanates the ceremony of the earth, that emanates the wisdom of our resistance. We still exist, and still the women from Kurdistan and from Gaza reunite together, not against. We cannot be just against patriarchy, against bombing with our self-defense. We are the earth and life, and we cannot be just against. We have to enlighten the intimate relationship that we have with nature, with the power of dance, with music, with words, with the collective. The summary says we had been protecting our collective education, the health systems, the economical system has trying to erase our memory. We will not allow them to take our memories. We are guardians of the forest. We are guardians of the mountains. We are guardians of waters, of seas. We are the grandmothers of thunder. We have that memory of the light and of the power of our deep ceremony in our wisdom. That is a very strong togetherness that was on the mouth of these women from the Abya Yala to the Kurdistan. We embrace the meaning of the science of genealogy, and from the movement that are able to take the ceremony of our origins with nature in a spiritual connection with the world. I do believe we are weaving our universal women understanding, having this net of feminism in the huge generosity that Mother Earth has given.
One
We
minute.
can be a mirror that invites and provokes into the world the sharing of our path, trying to find invisible also ways to be visible in this horrible world of patriarchy and wars.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margarita. Okay. I see that there are a couple of questions that have actually come into the chat and into the Q&A. For those of you who are still with us, if you have questions or comments, please feel free to put them in. But I want to go to Jen and see if there's something that she wanted to actually add, or if she had a question or a comment before we open up. And I might ask also Rojda if after Margarita, if she had something else she wanted to add. So Jen?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rojda. Thank you, Margarita. It's so important to be able to see this widespread and local women's emergence as the alternative to this horrible patriarchal warmongering that we have, and that is in evidence today. So I just really appreciate your being here and showing us and telling us about the alternatives that are available from the global South, and that we in the global North need to learn from and need to take up as well. And I think right now, with this attack of the U.S. on and Israel on Iran, we can see the really terrible consequences of the kind of mentality, of the patriarchal capitalist mentality that we have, that is creating havoc everywhere. And not only in the war, in all of the other things, the Epstein files and all of the other very negative activities, they're visible now when they weren't before. So I want all of us to realize that we have this sort of double picture. We have a picture of what's wrong, and we have a picture of what can work, of what's right. And that is in the hands of women. So thank you so much for being here and speaking.
Thank you, Jen. Rojda, did you have something you wanted to add before we take a couple of questions?
Actually, no, I just want to say again, thank you to Margarita's speech, especially. Thank you very much, and to all of women.
Thank you, Rojda. All right, I'm going to go to Judith. Liliana was having some technical difficulties. So Judith, do you have a question for us?
There's a question in the chat from Peggy. She says, how can we help to spread this vision among women from other cultures that are facing the violence of imperialism at this moment? So what can we do?
Rojda, would you maybe answer how we can get involved in the movement, places we can connect to, or give us some insights?
It's a very hard question, I think, because thousands of women are looking for these questions answered around the world now. But the solidarity is not enough anymore. I believe that. Solidarity is very important, but not enough, because the patriarchy and capitalism, they try to include their powerful around the world. And I don't want to be pessimist, but and now it's the time to fight together. Because of that, I think we need some, or we can establish mechanism to fight patriarchy together. We can build common networks, especially, as Genevieve said, Epstein files are very terrible. And I talk why all women around the world don't stand up now together, because it was not problem of USA or just European countries. For example, I learned some women, it's very hard, but some women, Turkish and Kurdish women, was part of this terrible issue, and still their family don't have any contact with them, and they don't know what happened to this woman and these children. Oh, no. So we can establish some common networks, some common maybe associations, some common platforms as women. And when something happened against us, not just something happened, to better world against this monoculture system, against this capitalism, we should organize ourselves around the world. Of course, we have to discuss, we have to think about this issue. But as we said, I think as women, firstly, we need a mechanism for all people, so we can discuss together. Because I think the feminism are divided so much. Okay, we don't know each other. We don't know our problems. Just every culture's woman says that we have this problem, we have this problem. Actually, it depends on patriarchal system. It has same roots. So because of that, I think we should establish some mechanism, some networks, some platforms, and then we try to find some ways to together against capitalism and patriarchy.
Great answer.
Okay. I think that sounds like a great idea. Would you say, Rojda, the gathering that was in Colombia, would that be one of the places that women would be able to be informed and experience perhaps the collective coming together? Because I went to the website and I think some of it was recorded. Is that correct? So women could actually go and actually see the experience and then learn how to stay connected through that way, and then it could kind of blossom out. Do you think that's a good suggestion to go?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Margarita, can you unmute?
As Rosa said, and in the group was said, when we use the technology that is the technology of the owners, the ones who put us in all the logarithms, we are under that control. If we try to implement or to be part of the other technologies that are not from them, that is a very political issue. There are other ways to communicate through that are not from the Facebook or the Elon Musk or all those ones that are the owner. That was one of the points they said. And we have to think also in that meeting, it was very clear from many of the women of the Abya Yala that we have so much to do in the very daily life. It is so hard to live, to be able at the same time to be connected to the very international nets. The collective definitely should decide the agendas, but from the local, the agendas should be done in order to build more strength, because inside of many of the Latino American populations, the collectives go with a lot of problems still with the men, as in the Kurdistan process. But there is a lot of self-care that is growing among the weaving of the movements together. I believe it is very difficult, like the world networks. I think this has been tried to be done for a long time, but they also propose that we take some common agendas to make it worthwhile at the same time, with all the feminist group, with all the environmental group, with all the anti-fracking, with all the protecting the pedophile children, the marital violence. So we have lots of items. We have to have like those agendas to put it together in the world, like manifesting together.
Thanks, Margarita. Jen is wanting to actually interject here right now. So let's listen to what Jen has to offer.
Just very briefly, you said that the women from Kurdistan and the Middle East were some of the victims of the Epstein thing.
Who are you talking to, Jen? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So can
And
you
we
just
just have learned from the Epstein files. We didn't know actually. There
Yeah.
was some names who are Turkish name and Kurdish names.
Yeah.
thank you for saying
Yeah,
that.
that's the unfortunate situation that we have here. It was an international network. They call it the Epstein network because it was rooted here. So it involved women all over the world. It wasn't just people here. So the human trafficking experience. And this is part of, I think, what the challenge is for women today. We're overloaded with the amount of information that's being uncovered. The atrocities of patriarchy are really sort of overburdening women's ability to resource and be present to process and then have a response, you know. So that's why I think, Rojda, what you offered us today was a 30-year process that's already working. You created an opportunity for your own women to come regardless of a nation state, which is, of course, a country is a nation state, which means what we have in common is being woman, being committed to life, and being committed to freedom. And if we come together in those ways, anything that is anti those things becomes something that women locally and globally can work together to actually shift. But first, women have to recognize that common thing that we share. It is not within the nation state. It's within who we are as what Jen would say, using Jen's language, maternal. We are a maternal species. We are the woman, supporting life, creating life, bringing life through. And that's what we share in common. Once we recognize that and own that as our identity as woman first, then regardless of country or ethnicity, as you demonstrated in your talk, Rojda, that in these places where your community of this way of political organizing has happened, regardless of religion, ethnicity, the people work together to be able to continue to have peace and share resources. So this is a living example. This is not something that's quote unquote a hope that it can happen. This is actually something that has survived in the course of 30 years or more. So it has a historical new arising that is working, and they're inviting us in to not only help them protect it, but for us to adopt our own change of mind so that we can be part of this reclaiming. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm up for that. I'm up for that. Yeah. Yes, because there's many, when you consider it, because of the language. Again, we have language barriers because there's 7,000, how many languages there are in the world. And every woman is probably trying to convey the same thing. We need to actually come together as mothers to actually make sure none of our children continue to suffer into the future. That's what we want. So, yeah. Thank you so much again. And Jen actually suggested a book a while back. It was called The Kurdish Women's Movement, History, Theory, Practice. Do you know this book? I think for those of us who are not Kurdish, this would be a really good historical book for us to be able to understand this movement and then not have to rely on women who are on the ground doing the work to have to try to explain it to us all the time, that we could resource ourselves, but it could give us some historical background. What do you think, Rojda? Do you think it's a good one for us?
I think so, yes. And the writer is Dilardirik or not, as I remember.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. It's very good book to know, to see Kurdish women and their struggle.
yes. Thank you for that affirmation, because for people like me who know about, a fraction of information, I look forward to reading this. This is what the book kind of looks like, but you can find it easily to read this and then join the movement, everyone. We want to locally, and then um, as our groups grow, as in our discussion, we just get bigger and bigger, and pretty soon, without our even knowing, we've connected up to other women whose small groups are forming, and now each of the small groups become a bigger and a bigger group. So that's what I hope can happen for us. Let me check. Jen, do you have any other questions for Rojda about what may happen? I think that you gave us such a good you said every day in the Middle East, Rojda, it's different. So we have to really be paying attention, and wherever we're landed, meaning wherever we're living, our responsibility of woman is to see how we can support the women there and support ourselves to make sure that our governments, our nation states, are not creating more problems for what's going on for the Kurdish women. That's,
They are.
Yes, yes, gracias. Thank you.
yes. Anything else that you'd like to share with us?
I just sent our website's link. Maybe everyone see that Genealogy EU. Yeah, they can visit the website. It's full English, so they can understand what's the meaning of genealogy, and they can follow the website if they want.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Great. And the gathering that happened in Colombia, do you do it every year, or is it every 2 years?
Oh, one time, I think.
It's just like one time. That's a big gathering. Yeah.
Yeah, we try to visit all content in the world. For example, maybe another area will be Africa, maybe Asia. After that, we will establish a mechanism all of world. So the first station was Europe, the second was Abiyala, and I don't know what will be third one.
Aha. So those of you who are listening in our audience and listening later on, maybe you can organize and invite the Kurdish women to come to your country and help to raise the consciousness there. Yes, organize to bring them there and help bring the methodology that has sustained you for all of this time, so that we can easily kind of move into a place of grounded awareness and being present, even in the face of horrific death and danger, not to crumble. We have a mission. Yeah. Very inspiring. Okay. Judith, is there another question?
We've had salons on this with this group on women's villages, and that's been a subject of a lot of interest. So I wonder if you could tell us more about your women's village, how it got started, who's in it, and what lessons we can learn for other women's villages around the world.
Yeah, it's a long story, but I can say now, women, just women and their children live in this village, and unfortunately, the male violence, this woman who face to face male violence in their life, and they don't have any way to go after they divorced. And now they have a common in their life, the organization common. I think about 8 women coordinate everything in the village, but this coordination change in every 6 months. And then if you want, they have a documentary about Jinvar. They tell their self what are they doing in Jinvar. And if you want, I can send this documentary to Genevieve Vaughan, and maybe she can share with you.
Sure.
Yes, Rosha, what we can do is actually put a link to the documentary up with this recording so that women who are listening will be able to click on it when they know about it from here.
Would be great, but I don't know where is it. I have to check my emails.
Yes, that's no rush, but we can put it up with this recording so that women will be able to access it easily once they hear you speak about it. So that will be great. That will be great. Okay. I'm just kind of seeing everything scroll up. There's lots of comments, but I see that Peggy has also entered another one close to the bottom that says, one of the things that really struck me was the way in which the Kurdish women's movement is so grounded in their culture. And that is, the clarity in which you speak about your culture beyond the borders of nation state. Because oftentimes, I'm Filipino, it is not uncommon for tribal peoples to actually be separated by states, internal states, and also the process of colonization split them by religion. So some are Christian, some are Muslim, and some are indigenous, where they go back to their original roots. Some of them that go back to the original people back 20,000 years in their history. And the common thing that they have is the language and the deep root of the culture which they stay connected to. Once they drop away all those other elements and find that common bond, then they work to actually ensure the aliveness of the culture and work for the land and the people, just like your people have done. But that is a difficult decolonizing process, I think, to strip away this nation state thinking. Yeah. And I think it's a unique process from the way European feminists approached the work, because European feminists went to women, but each woman didn't actually go back to their own culture, and had a difficult time connecting to women's culture that wasn't their own culture, because it doesn't have a historical depth. Unless, of course, we look at Maria Gambuta's work, which, takes us all back to the goddesses. Okay. I see that there's a lot of comments coming in. Judith, do you have something else that you think is a good offering here?
There's a comment about a conference yesterday in Italy about the Rojava and the Kurd situation. And she says it was a very engaged group of professors in a high school near Venice. The women were there, but also not there. The Kurdish people were the subject. Again, the stereotype of women was at stake. So she passes on one of the questions by one of the young committed students, and the question is, how can we put together an experiment like Rojava with the image of the Islamic woman? Or, yeah, and that's from, the question is from Paula. So the question is, I think, how to deal with stereotypes when you're trying to change them.
Yeah, I don't know, is there anyone from Islamic area or not? Maybe some of them. It's not easy living in an Islamic land, especially not just the nation state policy, but also because of our families or mothers, even if our societies are have very strict rules here. But what happened in here, maybe I can say something about that. We just didn't stop. They said you cannot do it. Be gone. They said you cannot be blah blah. Be gone. I think insist on women struggle is very important in this issue, because if you stop when they say you have to stop, you cannot change your society. Of course, most of Kurdish women paid something for this freedom. Some of our family, they didn't want us. Some of our neighbors or daughter or son, they didn't want their mothers, their sisters, their cousins in their life. But according to Kurdish women's ideology, they say the freedom is not cheap. We know it. Maybe someday we have to die. Maybe someday we have to go to prison. Maybe we have to have some means from our families. But now we cannot say that the Middle East is changed or Kurdish society is changed. We cannot say it. But at least they know if you live in a Kurdish area, you cannot kill a woman. They know it, not just according to law, state laws, because this society has learned if you kill a woman, you isolated from all society. You cannot leave your city, you can't find a job, and everyone stop talking with you. The main, actually, the main reason is that, because as you know all, even if the laws, state laws say that you shouldn't kill a woman, it doesn't work. It doesn't work Middle East, not at all. Just because of that, we try to change society. With society press is very important about on men. For example, if you don't accept co-mayor system in the political fields, we say, if you don't accept that, okay, go home. We will not work you. They know it, okay? Or for example, they wanna be an activist in unions. We say, if you have crimes against the woman, we say, okay, go home. We research when they come to us. We research their history, what happened in their life. Did they have any crime against women? Did he hit his wife, his sisters? So we are looking. And when we learn, we say, okay, go home and don't come here again. Mm-hmm. This is not easy, but if you stay very powerfully and very beliefly. They cannot say anything. As I said, it is not easy, especially in Islamic world, but I think we also have changed the stereotype of Middle East women's character. Now you can come here and you can see. I am not happy to saying that, but if you go to the Syrian area, Iran area, Iraq area, or Qatar, Saudi Arabistan, you will see women's situation are not nice, unfortunately. Even if like Iran countries, you have to cover your hair like that. But now in Kurdistan, women live very freely, really, because every city has at least 10, 15 women association. And these associations don't depend on state or another mixed groups. Just women organize this group. And for example, I live in this town, and if I have any questions about with my father, brother, with another man, I can go to the women association, and they have to find a solution for your life. They have to find a job for you. They have to find a home for you if you want to live from your family. This organization is very strict in Kurdistan. You can see women parks, you can see children parks, you can see every public and special areas for women. And because of that, now the Kurdish men accept that they cannot say anything about our life. If we decide, we do it. If we don't want, we don't want it. Of course, I cannot say every society is totally like that. I cannot say, because we have 40 million population in Kurdistan, very big population, and also we always face-to-face war against the other countries. But I can say this is general rules of a Kurdish society. For example, a Kurdish man want to be MP in Turkish parliament. We say, okay, if you want, you can be, but come here and we will research your story. What happened in your life? And what do you think about women's freedom? Do you support that? And, you know, we have a lot of experiences and we understand, is he okay or not? Is he presentation of society or not? So because of that, it is not easy, as I said, but if you have a big organizations on your movement, it is easier. I can say that.
Thank you, Rojda. I think one of the things that is challenging in the Western North is that here in the United States, we have indigenous cultures that are still of the original Iroquois nation. And those cultures are woman-centered. And the women is the leadership and they are decision makers. But what we often hear when these women speak, then they're asked, well, how do we do it? Well, then the answer is these women have been in one teaching, they identify that their democracy with women leadership, women and men together in their culture, there are certain things that women only do, is a democracy that's 1,000 years old, 1,000 years still. And what I observe of the women who experience that conversation is, oh, that's interesting. Wow. Okay. How do we do that? But here's this example that still exists. They still coexist in indigenous countries. They don't have to be redesigned. They can be remembered, but we need to support these cultures. Barbara Mann, that has been a friend of the maternal gift economy, will tell us, if any man would ever consider, coming here, She said, our young warriors stand at the door for the grandmothers when we actually hold, our meetings, and we decide if we go to war. We decide what the resources are. We decide what needs to happen. Now, it's almost unimaginable by women born into patriarchy, whose mothers were born into patriarchy, who would even begin to think that women could actually feel that sense of agency, and that men who are supporting this idea, this whole governance, at least in this particular tribe for 1,000 years of democracy, it's not just women, it's women and men. So men have been supporting this democracy. There are examples of this happening. And I think what I keep hearing is that, well, how could we do this? How could this happen? You have to somehow bring yourself, humble yourself to go experience the culture that's lived it and see what it's like. Right? Yes, Jen.
I want to just say the word matriarchy. So there's quite a matriarchal movement in Europe now, based on the work of Heidegger and Abendroth. So the two sides are meeting, and I think we're beginning to create that underground structure that we all need. Yeah, women need.
Yes. Okay, we're coming to the end of our time together, and I personally would like to thank both you, Rojda, and Margarita, and Jen, because my attention has been fully present in this room with you, and my heart has been open, because what you provided for us today was something so inspiring, so solid, so womanly, so female in its orientation, that my mind wasn't drifting off into some war place, or oh, what am I going to do? Or I don't know what I'm going to do, and crumble into some meek place. I feel inspired. So I just honestly, really, from the bottom of me, thank you so much. Yes. Now, I would like to check in with you, Rosa. If there's some last words you'd like to say to us before I close this out, and Jen will actually end with an Om. So is there something you'd like some last words for us to know from you?
Maybe she's frozen.
No, she's not. Are there some last words you'd like to say to the group before we close, Rojda?
Yes, just a little story. One day we came to a Kurdish village with my women comrades, and we just wanted to chat with all Kurdish women who lives in this village. And at this time, I think Margarita knows the story. At this time, a feminist association also came to village, and they were telling to women about having the land with official papers. They were saying, men have the official paper for the lands. So a woman, you have to have these official papers too. And a Kurdish mom stood up and she said, no one can own the land. It doesn't belong to human. And if they have a mistake in their life as men, we don't want to be part of this mistake in this world. Land is free, and we want to be free with our lands. And they were very shocked because they didn't expect this answer. they said we don't want any special, any official papers. And after that, mean of being a woman, a mother, has changed so much. So I think we should focus on the freedom, the ecological freedom, when we say not the okay, nature can be free, we can be free. No, we have very powerful connection each other. And unfortunately, the modern life offer very difficult, very dangerous ideas to us. But as Latesi Lyson said, we believe our cultures, our native cultures, and because these stories tell us something. We live together in the past, and if you want to live anymore, you have to live with me in the future. I just wanted to tell this story, and again, thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you so much.
So much, Rojda.
Beautiful.
Margarita, is there a few short words you want to share with us before we go?
Can't hear you.
Leticia. We had been invisible. We had learned to talk. We can share our stories. We need to not compete in between one another. And what we said may be our path and our reality. We need to have the truth of our deep transformation in order to unite with the strength of the feminine, matriarchal, generous possibility of create or continue creating the world we have been creating, but getting together and go further patriarchy, go further colonialism, go further rapers, not against, with our strength forward. Thank you. Thank you very much. Love you, Rojda, and love you all.
Thank you, Margarita. Jen, is there something you want to say before I actually do some closing words and turn it back over to you?
Okay, I just wanted to say that now, in a minute, we're going to do an Om together, and I hope that all of you that are here will do it with me, because the others are going to have to do it from their own computers, and we're not going to be able to hear them, but I hope they will. So now Letitia's going to do it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I want to just thank you again, Rojda and Margarita, and Jen, for really inspiring us today and bringing us this really important information and sort of lighting a fire of what it means to be woman, life, freedom. Thank you so very much. Diane, who had to actually scoot out, we want to acknowledge her and thank Lisa for holding the fort down. And we also, Liliana, who had her technology, we want to thank her because she was present until she couldn't be. And Judith for scanning this. I want all of you who are listening to know and who are here present in the room that we will make sure that our guests receive the chat, a copy of the chat, because sometimes it's very difficult to read all of your comments while we're trying to stay present with what's going on. On behalf of Genevieve, Vaughan, and the International Feminists for the Gift Economy, we want to thank you for joining us today. And me, it has been an honor. I want to just tell you about a few things that we have coming up. We're very excited, you know, that March is International Women's Month. So International Women's Day is March the 8th. Our two sessions that we're having in March, on the 14th, salon number 92 with Heidi Gutner-Abendroth and Joan Marler, who will be talking about Maria Gimbutas and matriarchy, that word, the choice of using that word, which Rojda, if you don't know either of their works, you would want to know that it just absolutely aligns with woman, life, freedom. And it has a historical view that brings it current so that women today can actually use this ancient information from old Europe and around the world to be able to root themselves in what it means to be woman today. So I'm looking forward to that on March 8th. On March the 28th, we have Genevieve Vaughan, and she'll be sharing her newest research, or perhaps she'll have a surprise with us. And she's still checking with a really good friend of our community to see if maybe she will have a partner who will be talking about something very, very important, which if she can't do it at the end of the month, that she'll do it at another time. But there's so much disinformation going on and lies. And we need to be able to discern what we're seeing is the truth of it. And as women, we know what that's like, to not be manipulated into situations that put not only yourself in danger, but your community and others. So thank you, Jen, for organizing that. And with that, I want to turn the mic over to Jen so that she can do our OMS with us. And Jen has asked that anyone who is here present, Judith, if you would like to unmute so that our guests will hear us OMing with Jen, and hopefully they will do it in their own house to OM. So Jen, can you start us off?
Yes, I will, and I hope all of you all will too, and the people at home can also do that and unite yourselves with us mentally, if not vocally at the moment. This is an Om for peace, an Om for the truth, and for the ending of the patriarchal violence that is hurting so many people and has been for so many centuries. So, oh. Oh. Oh.